Hi, welcome to A Bit Beyond the Basics of Immigration. I went ahead and split up a video I made earlier. It ended up being so long with preferences, wait lists, and backlogs that I went ahead and split it up. This is part 2, wait lists and backlogs. Wait lists are situations where when Congress wrote the law, they said you get a certain number of visas, a particular kind of visa per year. Preference category makes this a unique kind of wait list, but it is also a type of wait list. There are other visas with a more specific. You can give out 50 of these visas per year. Most of these are going to refer to non-immigrant visas, but you can give out 50 visas per year. Well, let's say that one year we have 75 people who are eligible. So we're going to give out, we have 75 people here, and we're going to give out, I'll make them 10 per circle. We're going to give out 50 because that's how many we can give out. We still have 25 people waiting. And then the next year, we only have 30 people get in line, but we already had 25, and so we're still behind. And the next year, we have 40, and so maybe we catch up. Or if let's say we still had 5 people waiting, and then we get 50 that year, then we're still going to be behind, so we have a wait list. Now, the 50 category is a pretty rare visa, and that might not be a problem. But we have other visas where, let's say it's 10,000 visas we can give a year, and we have 20,000 people applying every single year. So start doing the math. The first year, we have 10 people still waiting in line. But if the next year 20,000 people more apply, then we give out those first 10,000, we have 20,000 people waiting. And if the next year 20,000 more apply, we give out the 10 we can give out, now we have 30,000 people waiting. And of course, as you can imagine, maybe another year we don't have 20,000, we have 30,000 people apply. So the wait list grows longer and longer and longer. And eventually you have people who have applied today and they're eligible, but they can be waiting 4, 5, 10 years before we can get to them and give them that visa because of the wait list. Congress has good reasons for making a limit on the number of visas, but when the demand far outstrips the supply, or the number that we can give every year, we start to have serious backlogs that start to affect people's lives and their ability to follow the law correctly and to be able to navigate the system. If the system is set up so that you move from this to this step to this step, but now all of a sudden there's a 3-year wait list, what do you do during those 3 years? If it's going to medical school and then being able to do residency, really, are you going to go home for 3 years? Or are you going to try to find some other way to do residency? What's going to happen? It can be a problem when we have these wait lists because of the limits on visas. So those are wait lists. Now let me talk about one more category where people are waiting. Backlogs. These are similar to these other two, but specifically with backlogs. What I'm referring to is where the government just can't move fast enough to keep up with the applications that they're receiving. If you have an agency that's set up to handle 1,000 requests in 1 year, and you get 1,200 requests in a year, you're not going to be able to get to those other 200. Fine, we'll get to them next year. Well, next year, we get 1,500 requests. So kind of like with the wait lists, you can see how not only are we not finishing what we got this year, but every year it's getting more and more and more backed up. And the problem with that is you have people then waiting for years. Immigration court is an example. You have a finite number of judges. Let's just say that there are 100 immigration judges in the country. There are more, but let's just say there are 100 because I got to keep the math simple. There are 100 immigration judges, and you put 1,000 people into removal proceedings. Every judge handles, I think, 10 cases a year. No problem. The next year, you have 10,000 people. Okay, every judge needs to handle 100 cases this year. If they can handle 100, that's fine. But the next year, you have 1,000,000 people put into removal proceedings. Those 100 judges can't handle 1,000,000 cases that year. So you're going to get people who get pushed off to the next year. Well, the next year, you have 1,000,000 cases again. So now you're starting to get backlogs. And eventually, you have people waiting in removal proceedings for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So they go in, they talk to the judge, they make their initial appearance and say, I want to have an individual hearing to present my case about whatever removal thing. And the judge says, great, you are scheduled for 3.5 years from now to come back and see me again. Meanwhile, good luck with life. I'll see you back here in 3.5 years. That just gets further and further and further behind. So we have immigration court. We have asylum cases is an area where the backlogs are huge. So I've come to this country. I have no permission to be here. I just showed up at the port of entry and I asked for asylum. And the United States says, we will look at your case. But we have approximately however many million cases before you. So instead of looking at your case next week or 2 months from now, and then if it's good, fine, you can stay. If it's bad, we're going to send you home. Well, now instead of looking at it right away, we're going to look at it in 3.5 years from now. And by then, you've lived in the country for 3.5 years. You've created a life in the country because you've been here for 3.5 years before we look at it. And if we look at it and you're good, that's fine because you've been here. But if we look at it and no, you're not eligible for asylum, we're going to send you home, we can do that. But now we have a person who's lived in this country for 3.5 years and done all kinds of things. They've worked, they might have a family, they might have bought a house. There are a variety of different things they've done in the country while they waited. So you can start to see the issue. Let's say that someone applies for a visa or some other kind of benefit. The government agencies who look at those applications are finite. They have a certain number of employees. And I can tell you right now, they don't have enough employees to handle all of the applications they get. And there are a few reasons for that. One of the reasons for that is because they use a staffing model that's based off of a few years back. And so it's always out of date. And immigration applications never really goes down. It goes up and up and up and up. And so they never have enough people to apply for all of these. So you can try to get more people, or perhaps an even better route, you can try to get computers to help you do some of the work to get through it faster. But they're constantly, in every one of these areas, there is a constant effort to try to go faster because the backlogs are just piling up more and more and more. Think about traffic coming out of a city, traffic jams, or waiting for lines going in. I went recently to a ball game. You're going into a ball game, and at the beginning, you can just walk right in. And after a little while, there starts to be a little bit of a backup. But eventually, there's a huge backup. And there's so much backup in front of you that you're going to be a long time before you even get to the front, and then still have to go through your process to get in, show your ticket or whatever. These backlogs, in most cases, aren't getting shorter. There are some, but the problem here is if you put your efforts into, okay, let's go work on the backlog here, you're taking people from this line, and so now this line's going to back up. So yes, we clear up this backlog, hooray! But meanwhile, other lines are getting bigger because we have finite resources. The important thing to know is the backlogs are getting worse. So whether we're waiting because we can only give a certain amount of visas, or there just aren't people to work fast enough through the different immigration factors, or we have these preference categories where we can give certain amounts of visas to a certain amount of people each year. All of the, again, this is related, all of these are problems that create long waits in the immigration law. You'll hear about this more later, but when people are waiting a long time, that's when they do crazy things to try to get in. It's when you have different problems as people are waiting. And as I mentioned earlier, with one of these categories, you also just create a problem where the system was designed that you go in a certain order, but the system, when Congress wrote it, they had the concept that this would happen in a timely manner, not waiting for 7 years. They thought you would apply and you would know in 2 months what was happening. And there's no real provision in the law to say, what are you supposed to do while you wait for 7 years? And so we have to have policy and regulations and other things to explain what are we going to do while these people wait? Or we don't have anything in place and things just naturally fall how they fall. We'll talk some more about some of these ideas later on, but I wanted you to at least have an overview and understand where there is all this waiting in our immigration system and why that's there. All right, that's it.